some of the people out there who normally inspire Ugandans to get going every day is saying, or they are saying, you, as our dear viewer, can get up in the morning and be very optimistic about the same. That somebody is me. A very good morning to you. It's Wednesday and we are here to make sure that we inspire your mornings. How are you doing for this Wednesday, the 24th of April, 2024? And like I said, 4 months down the road from the month of April, if you want to give up today, please do not give up. At times it becomes very difficult if you're trying to hustle every other day that passes by and you're not earning anything from your hustle. But well, the best days are yet to come. All the better days are coming in, not only today. Today can just be a game changer for the better days that are yet to come. How you sleep should tell you a lot about your hope as an individual. If Monday and Tuesday did not make the right cause for your hustle, please make sure that you make good use of Wednesday. Today may be your lucky day. But not only that, welcome on board to Good Morning Uganda and welcome on board to UBC Television. We are here to inspire your mornings. It's Wednesday and of course we are also crashing on quite a number of women out there. If you are a woman, if you are a wife, if you are a mother, and if at all you are a single woman who's trying to grow bigger with huge visions, and you're trying to make ends meet every single day, we are crushing on you. It being Women Crush Wednesday. As for me, as Joram Paul Sonko, I am crushing on the women in trade, or the traders. Last week, when the traders were actually on strike, it was very difficult. It wasn't something that you can easily say that we were happy to see traders sit down or close down their shops, because the losses were recorded, and not only that, for the clients or customers who wanted to have some goods downtown in Kampala or various areas within the country, they could not easily access them, and the chances were very high that you could only access very few goods that were sold on, along the city suburbs, because the shops within the town were closed. Now, looking into some of the aspects of the women in trade, even with the Uganda Revenue Authority, it does say that women traders remit more taxes or are more tax compliant. And that's why I'm saying I'm crushing on the women in trade. The women who wake up in the morning and try to hustle it hard, especially for the single mothers or even, you know, the wives who are making business, but at the same time trying to balance being mothers, being wives, and also their business as well. For those who are yet to be wives or mothers, the journey is still ongoing. You can still make the right decision this year and maybe choose a husband or choose a father of your future children at the end of it all. But nonetheless, today is Wednesday. We are here, we are live, and you, our viewer who is watching, is on time to wake up and get inspired. But well, the team is also geared up to make sure that we give you the news, details, and information that you need. I'm not alone in studio, of course. I am still with Cherotich Merab this morning. The third name I did say is still a difficult one for me to pronounce, but she's right here with me. Good morning.
Good morning. Most welcome our viewers. I'm super excited to be with you today and of course to be with my brother Sonko. And today we are going to bring you the latest news that have been making headlines, and we also get to dissect and let you know what our views are, and you get to share with us as well. Well, today happens to be Wednesday, Women Crush Wednesday. So I'm a woman myself, and I'm glad that Sonko mentioned certain women, and I fall under that caliber of women.
Say you're crushing on yourself this morning.
Of course. But those women in my life that have played a pivotal role, especially my mother. A special shout out to her. I'm definitely crushing on that woman. She's hardcore. She's a hard woman. She's a hardworking, natural, carer, and overall a mother that has, of course, brought me up to have good morals, good values. And yes, that's who I'm crushing on today. Together with, I have sisters as well. And also, Sonko mentioned the women who are out there. Let me tell you, being a woman it's everything. We play a lot of roles in our homes, in our families, in our workplaces, and maybe we may not get enough credit for it. But I'm definitely happy that this is a Wednesday, and we definitely...
And we're crashing on them.
Yes, we
truly.
definitely get to crash on women.
You know, also the most important bit, by the way, is that we want to also crush on the women that wake up every day to watch a UBC. It is quite a good reason for us to keep going and keep inspiring you with our presentation and giving you information, news, and the analysis that we normally throw in here and there. You know, having a woman who wakes up in the morning to turn on television in this day and age means they want to have information that will keep them going.
Yes, sure. Yes, those who tune in to watch us every morning, kudos to you. You are amazing. Those who put up the alarm, the clocks, just to make sure that you catch us and watch the show that runs every day from Monday to Friday on at our headquarters here at Nile Avenue. You truly inspire us.
Well, as we continue to inspire you too, because what we do here every morning is not only give you information on the news, but trying to make sure that we inspire your mornings, that when you're waking up and you're going to work, every morning it's always good for you to be very optimistic and hopeful. But Merab, as we speak of inspiring and giving people information and news, what really stood out for you yesterday in regards to the top headlines?
Yes, one of the top headlines yesterday was the appointment of over 300 assistant resident district commissioners.
The RDCs.
Yes, the RDCs. Now we know that there are 150 RDCs already that are there, and 150 assistant RDCs that are in office already. So this totals the number of RDCs to about 600. So it begs a question, are these appointments really necessary? And what is going to happen, especially with our finances, with our planning, because the more the people, the more finances that are going to be let out.
Well, looking into these appointments, I for one think, I just want to really look through and see what are they going to add to the current RDCs. Because when you look at the appointments, it's to ensure that different government projects are pushed through when it comes to supervision and also when it comes to representing the president in different districts. Because this is the duty of most of the RDCs, to make sure that the president is well represented and everything that he passes through different districts has to be presented. Now, we have quite a huge number, as you've mentioned. Now, the onus is upon all the new appointed RDCs or deputies or assistants, if I am to put it in that way, to stand up and prove to the Ugandans, because many of the watchers or the political analysts are not happy with some of these appointments. And so it's upon the new appointed RDCs to make sure that they step up and give us a reason to believe in them. Because getting a vote of confidence from the president means you have to show us why you are appointed. But many questions are still there, though.
Of course, they still linger, tongues are wiggling and wagging, and people definitely want to know why. Some will beg to say these may have actually been probably a reward for being loyal to the government and being supporters as well. So this may come as a reward, and they probably have potential to do the government's work alongside with the RDCs.
Well, we do wait, of course, and see how they will perform. The performance is very important because we shall have our performance radar to ensure that they are performing accordingly. But that aside, yesterday still, more news and information was coming through. One of those is that the fact that the Uganda National Roads Authority is likely to stay as a government agency that is quite independent as well, because the Uganda National Roads Authority is among some of the agencies to survive the ongoing rationalization process, or the managers. And a report of the Parliamentary Committee on Physical Infrastructure revealed that reveals that repealing the UNRA Act of 2006 as proposed by government would create a setback in the national infrastructure service delivery in Uganda. So the chances are high that with the ongoing managers' conversation and discussions in Parliament, UNRA may make it or may remain independent from the other bodies that are likely to be merged back to their mother ministries. And also you get to realize UNRA, which is under the Ministry of Works and Transport. And later on in our conversation, by the way, this morning, we are going to be discussing these managers. To you, our dear viewer, what do you think about the managers? Is it the best decision that we can take to merge a number of government agencies and departments back to their mother ministries? How important will that be? What will it save for us, the Ugandans? Because it does seem like it's going to be the only solution to quite a number of government expenditures that are continuously growing. But away from that, we now dive into what we've gathered for you from the local scene, as Merab will be taking you through the international scene in regards to the news that we have for you this morning. Or as the time you were sleeping, there are some headlines that were moving all across, and we gathered for you some of those. As we start off with President Museveni, who received a delegation from the African Union that is in the country to evaluate Uganda's bid to host the African Union Humanitarian Agency. Now, Uganda submitted its bid under the auspices of the African Union, which was accepted and is now being evaluated by the team that paid a courtesy call on the president. Uganda is competing against Kenya, Equatorial Guinea, and Nigeria to host the African Union Humanitarian Agency, and the delegation was led by Professor Julio Rakotonirina, who is also the head of Health, Humanitarian Affairs, and Social Development at the African Union. President Museveni welcomed members of the delegation to Uganda and shared views about the establishment of the African Union Humanitarian Agency in the country. He was optimistic that Uganda will win this bid and be the headquarters of the agency. Uganda comes second in hosting a large number of refugees after Ethiopia, that has 3.6 million. The Assembly of the African Union at the 11th AU Humanitarian Symposium that sat in Nairobi, Kenya in November 2023 adopted a decision to establish a humanitarian agency as part of African Union's vision to strengthen its human architecture. Now, 2 private security guards have been arrested by police following an attempt to rob Equity Bank branch in Soroti City. The futile attempted heist took place on Tuesday at 8:30 a.m. Business came to a standstill along Soroti Main Street as the security fought off an attempted robbery at the Equity Bank branch, Soroti City. The 2 armed guards attached to Security Group Africa SGA, a private security firm, were arrested as the main suspects in the attempted break-in. Now, also, East Choga police spokesperson Edison Obukulem confirmed the arrest of 2 private security personnel, a supervisor and a guard, to help with investigations over the attempted robbery of Equity Bank Soroti branch. Now, Obukulem confirmed that the suspects are employees of Security Group Africa. The Deputy Resident City Commissioner, Soroti City East, Edwin Benessa, confirmed the arrest and warned private security guards against the involvement in stealing from properties they are meant to safeguard. Uganda Police Force recently threatened to cancel licenses of private security guards over misuse of firearms and involvement in theft from the premises they are expected to be guarding. Now, away from that, we head to the Chengera Road progress as government has reopened the Nakasozi Chengera Road after preliminary repairs on the affected spot. The head of communications at the Uganda National Roads Authority, Alan Sempebwa, confirmed the development and announced normal traffic flow. Plans are also underway, work on all access roads starting with Natete Nakauka Road, which are also underway. The Uganda National Roads Authority has reopened the Nakasozi Chengera Bridge along Kampala Masaka Road after carrying out the preliminary repairs. The road is now fully open for normal traffic flow, as confirmed by the head of communications, Uganda National Roads Authority, Alan Sempeba. The road weakened and caved in on Saturday night due to water pressure following a heavy morning downpour. The culverts that had been supporting water flow at the bridge and the layers of the bridge had reportedly weakened and have been partially replaced, according to the head of communication. Now, the Uganda National Roads Authority spokesperson, Alan Sempeba, revealed that the repairs are a temporary solution, and that the main repairs are also underway. Works on access roads, including Natete and Nakauka, are also yet to start. In the meantime, the public will continue using both the main and access roads to ease traffic in and out of the city centre. Now, lastly, from our local news this morning, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, has asked the Minister for Presidency, Millie Babalanda, to appear before Parliament and explain the criteria that was used to appoint Assistant Resident District and City Commissioners. This follows the Leader of Opposition, Joe Senyonyi, seeking clarification on floor of Parliament, how this came about and the roles these people are going to play. President Yoweri Museveni appointed 357 assistant RDCs and RCCs. Now the Leader of Opposition, Joe Senyonyi, wants to know the relevance of these new members and the criteria used to recruit them. Members of Parliament resolved that the questions of the roles and responsibilities of the new assistant RDCs and RCCs require the Minister for Presidency, Millie Babalanda, to explain further. The Government Chief Whip, Hamson Obua, said their role is to sustain their stay, while Honorable David Bahati challenged the Leader of Opposition by reminding him that it is Parliament that approved money for assistant RDCs and RCCs. Now, the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, ruled that the Minister appears before Parliament with documents indicating the amount of money appropriated for recruitment of the new RDCs and RCCs and the criteria that was used in the appointment process. The Speaker, some members of Parliament also continue to react on the issue with recommendations from the Minister to also bring the education qualifications for the new appointed RDCs. Well, more of that news will be coming your way on our consistent bulletins here on UBC. But that aside, we have some news also coming in from the international scene with Merab is right here to give you details of the same.
Well, crossing over to the international news, we have a few stories for you. And the U.S. Senate approves potential TikTok ban. The U.S. Senate has approved a controversial landmark bill that could see TikTok banned in America. It gives TikTok's Chinese owner, ByteDance, 6 months to sell its stake, or the app will be blocked in the United States. The bill will now be handed over to the U.S. President, Joe Biden, who has vowed to sign it into law and as soon as it reaches his desk. If that happens, ByteDance will have to seek approval from Chinese officials to complete a forced sale, which Beijing has vowed to oppose. The measure has passed as part of a package of 4 bills, which also include military aid for Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, and other U.S. partners in the Indo-Pacific. It got widespread support from lawmakers, with 79 senators voting for it and 18 voting against it. Still in international news, the UN rights chief horrified by the mass grave reports at Gaza hospitals. The UN human rights chief has said he is horrified by the destruction of Gaza, Nasser's and Al-Shifa's hospitals and the reports of mass graves being found at the sites after Israel raids. Volker Turk called for independent investigations into the deaths. Palestinian officials said they had exhumed the bodies of almost 300 people at Nasser. It is not clear how they died or when they were buried. Israel military claims that it buried bodies there where Israel military claims that it buried bodies were baseless. But it said that during a 2-week operation at the hospital in the city of Khan Younis in February, troops examined bodies buried by Palestinians in places where intelligence indicated that the possible presence of hostages. 10 hostages who have now been released have said that they were held at Nasser Hospital for a long period during the captivity. And moving on to Nigeria, Chinese supermarket in Abuja shut shut for allegedly burying Nigerians. The Chinese-owned supermarket in Nigeria's capital has been shut by the authorities over allegations that it denies entry to African shoppers. The supermarket in Abuja allegedly exclusively permits individuals of Chinese descent to enter, Nigerians' consumer protection watchdog said on X. It has summoned the supermarket's owner. The Chinese Chamber of Commerce in Nigeria has denied the racism allegations. The supermarket is a tenant in a building run by the China General Chamber of Commerce, CGCC. Balodele Adiyinka, an official at Nigeria's Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC, said the watchdog had launched an investigation into the allegations following widespread outrage on social media after some Nigerians shared their experiences of allegedly being turned away by security when they attempted to go to the supermarket. And in more news, Asia hits the hardest by climate change and weather extremes. Following close to the heels of the study of climate change in Europe, published by UMO on Monday, the State of Climate in Asia 2023 report highlighted the accelerating rate of climate change across several indicators, such as surface temperatures, glacier retreats, sea level rise, and more. The report conclusions are sobering. Many countries in the region experienced their hottest year on record in 2023, along with a barrage of extreme conditions from droughts and heat waves to floods and storms, said Celeste Saulo, UMO Secretary General. Climate change has exacerbated the frequency and severity of such events that profoundly impact societies, economies, and most importantly, human lives, she underscored. So those have been some of the stories that have been making international news.
Well, and now we head back home because we have some news making headlines in print. And at the front pages of the New Vision here in Uganda, the bigger highlight is President Museveni explains new tax measures. The president's full statement on traders' concerns is in today's New Vision. Then more details: uncircumcised men fuel new HIV infections. Read about that worrying report. Then hackers hit 16 government agencies and banks. More of that worrying report also in the New Vision. General Muhoozi turns 50. Mama Janet recounts birthday memories. Read about the current CDF, or the memories of the current Chief of Defense Forces. How was it during his childhood days? Now, King Caesar University graduates 240 students. Details to proceed today on our live broadcast, by the way, about the same. Then President Museveni and Boeing officials discuss Uganda's aviation sector. A pictorial of the president meeting up with some of the Boeing officials at the Entebbe State House. Then also inside, there is a total magazine for the parents to actually share with your children. Then agency managers, how members of parliament voted for these managers. Now, away from that, we cross our borders to Kenya. At the front pages of the Daily Nation, Kenya, Azimio demands Ogola inquest. Postponed memorial service for General Ogola scheduled for Friday has been put off indefinitely. Why is that so? The Daily Nation has details. Now, cabinet rules out increased salaries for intern doctors. More of that is in today's Daily Nation, as how Homa Bay County is winning the war against killer malaria. Now, underwater, Kenyans in agony amid heavy floods. Read more, find more details about it in the Daily Nation. Then also the judiciary is highlighting Chebukati fails to make cut in hiring of appellate judges. As obituary, adios, Washington Akumu, business writer sent by the gods of journalism. Now in Tanzania, the Citizen is highlighting urban planning and drainage inadequacies fuel flooding, according to what it is being highlighted in the Citizen. Now, UDAT to ease BRT wars with 50 new buses in Tanzania, as Tanzania's foreign policy evolution in 6 decades has been highlighted in today's Citizen. Then government, the World Bank funded tourism project is still on, says the Tanzanian government. You can read and find more about that still with the Citizen. Now, let's get back home a little bit here with the Daily Monitor, because Daily Monitor's front page today is highlighting members of parliament save UNRWA in fight over managers. Relentless man chases pension for 28 years. The gentleman is on the front page of today's Daily Monitor. Now, new details emerge on foiled Soroti bank raid. Then in the Home's perspective, when Tarazo beats all other flooring materials. Then in the other news, how 309 billion Ugandan shillings how shillings 309 billion for UPE will be shared. Then President Museveni dismisses traders' concerns and he's set to meet the officials. The Daily Monitor is giving you details over the same in today's edition of that. Well, that is it from Press Review, the international news and the locals. Now, today being Woman Crush Wednesday, our inspirational song is coming in from a woman. Irene Nambiru will be staging a concert this year, by the way, and she's giving us an inspirational song titled Nsimye. Have a look at this. We'll be right back with our newsreel. Conversations rotating around government managers. What is your opinion on that? Share with us on our WhatsApp and the X handle. That is at UBC TV Uganda. But for now, our inspirational song as we take a break. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Just be a game changer for the better thing. I'm crushing on the women in trade. The women who wake up in the morning and try to hustle it hard, especially for the single mothers or even, the wives who are making business, but at the same time trying to balance being mothers, being wives, and also their business as well. For those who are yet to be wives or mothers, the journey is still ongoing. You can still make the right decision this year and maybe choose a husband or choose a father of your future children at the end of it all. But nonetheless, today is Wednesday. We are here, we are live, and you, our viewer who is watching, is on time to wake up and get inspired. But well, the team is also geared up to make sure that we give you the news, details, and information that you need. I'm not alone in studio, of course. I am still with Cherotich Merab this morning. The third name I did say is still a difficult one for me to pronounce, but she's right here with me. Good morning.
Good morning. Most welcome our viewers. I'm super excited to be with you today and of course to be with my brother Sonko. And today we are going to bring you the latest news that have been making headlines and we also get to dissect and let you know what our views are, and you get to share with us as well. Well, today happens to be Wednesday, Women Crush Wednesday. So I'm a woman myself, and I'm glad that Sonko mentioned certain women, and I fall under that caliber of women.
Say you're crushing on yourself this morning.
Of course. But those women in my life that have played a pivotal role, especially my mother. A special shout out to her. I'm definitely crushing on that woman. She's hardcore, she's a hard woman, she's a hardworking, nurturer, carer, and overall a mother that has, of course, brought me up to have good morals, good values, and yes, that's who I'm crushing on today. Together with, I have sisters as well, and also Sonko mentioned the women who are out there. Let me tell you, being a woman it's everything. We play a lot of roles in our homes, in our families, in our workplaces, and maybe we may not get enough credit for it. But I'm definitely happy that this is a Wednesday, and we definitely...
And we're crushing on them.
Yes, we definitely get to crush on women.
You know, also the most important bit, by the way, is that we want to also crush on the women that wake up every day to watch UBC. It is quite a good reason for us to keep going and keep inspiring you with our presentation and giving you information, news, and the analysis that we normally throw in here and there. You know, having a woman who wakes up in the morning to turn on television in this day and age means they want to have information that will keep them going.
Yes, sure. Yes, those who tune in to watch us every morning, kudos to you. You are amazing. Those who put up the alarm, the clocks, just to make sure that you catch us and watch the show that runs every day from Monday to Friday on at our headquarters here at Nile Avenue. You truly inspire us.
Well, as we continue to inspire you too, because what we do here every morning is not only give you information and the news, but trying to make sure that we inspire your mornings, that when you're waking up and you're going to work, every morning it's always good for you to be very optimistic and hopeful. But Merab, as we speak of inspiring and giving people information and news, what really stood out for you yesterday in regards to the top headlines?
Yes, one of the top headlines yesterday was the appointment of over 300 assistant resident district commissioners.
The RDCs.
Yes, the RDCs. Now, we know that there are 150 RDCs already that are there and 150 assistant RDCs that are in office already. So this totals the number of RDCs to about 600. So it begs a question, are these appointments really necessary? And what is going to happen, especially with our finances, with our planning, because the more the people, the more finances that are going to be let out.
Well, looking into these appointments, I for one think, I just want to really look through and see what are they going to add to the current RDCs. Because when you look at the appointments, it's to ensure that different government projects are pushed through when it comes to supervision and also when it comes to representing the president in different districts. Because this is the duty of most of the RDCs, to make sure that the president is well represented and everything that he passes through different districts has to be presented. Now, we have quite a huge number, as you've mentioned.
Yes.
Now, the onus is upon all the new appointed RDCs or deputies or assistants, if I am to put it in that way, to stand up and prove to the Ugandans, because many of the watchers or the political analysts are not happy with some of these appointments. And so it's upon the new appointed RDCs to make sure that they step up and give us a reason to believe in them. Because getting a vote of confidence from the president means you have to show us why you are appointed. But many questions are still there, though.
Of course, they still linger, tongues are wiggling and wagging, and people definitely want to know why. Some will beg to say these may have actually been probably a reward for being loyal to...
I thought I was one of your friends.
You are,
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
All right, it's good to have you here, and many thanks for joining us, and welcome along to our newsreel this morning. In our newsreel today, we expect you to also be part of our conversations. Don't highly expecting you, but really having a conversation with you, our dear viewer, because the topic that we're going to be having this morning is quite wide, quite huge, and something that is really of national importance in that regard. Our conversation this morning is going to the rationalization of government agencies, a conversation that has been ongoing in Parliament, but of course even the outsiders of parliament, or let's say the civil society players, and of course government critics have been pointing out a finger or two in relation to merging these agencies. Now, the Ugandan government has over the past few months been working on a merger of various government departments and agencies in in an effort to try to streamline quite a number of activities that happen and quite a number of projects that are set out to various ministries or operations that various agencies are supposed to be doing. Now, amongst the other reasons as to why these agencies or this discussion has been ongoing is that it is also right for us to merge them, because according to some of the queries coming through, is that there is a lot of costs that go to different agencies and government departments. And this is one of the reasons as to why the government has been having various discussions on mergers. One, in order to improve efficiency and also reduce the costs. Now, when you look at some of the agencies that are to be merged back to their mother ministries, includes the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, which is supposed to get back to the Uganda, rather to go back to the Ministry of Agriculture and Animal Industry and Fisheries. Then we've also had the Uganda National Roads Authority heading back to the Ministry of Works and Transport. Though yesterday, in a vote that was done by the members of Parliament, many voted against UNRA going back or being merged back to the mother ministry, that is the Ministry of Works and Transport. But when you look at this particular merger, which is a part of a broader rationalization process, in order to at least see that these ministries are further strengthened, but also look out for the efficiency and raise huge concerns of accountability at the end of it all. This is a conversation that is wide for you, our dear viewer, to be part of it, in something that we're asking, what is your thought or what is your opinion on the ongoing or on the decision to have government agencies rationalized or having government agencies back to their mother ministries? Will it save a lot of costs as a highly put out there, or will it make it more difficult for certain projects to be done efficiently or within the right time? This is a conversation that I'm going to have with Merab Cherotich this morning. She's joining me on set once more as we're having the conversation to go deeper. Merab, this is a conversation that is
Yes.
of national interest in
Yes.
regards to looking at some of these government agencies and what others have actually failed to do along the journey after they were actually created. And when you look at the creation of these agencies, they were created to help ministries
Yes.
to push for the same. Now, one would ask, what is the reason behind these mergers or the rationalization of government agencies?
Well, I definitely think one of the major reasons is looking at cutting costs. Because when you look at these different agencies that are subs of the ministries, they do the work the ministries are ought to do, but they come in and lend a helping hand to the ministries. But you realize that they have actually been doing a lot of this work and actually delivering on the services that they have been doing. Well, a total of about 77 agencies are supposed to be merged back into 18 ministries. So if you look at that, that is a big number of agencies that are going to have to get back into the ministerial systems. But these agencies have played a pivotal role in service delivery in Uganda. So having them merge back, of course, is going to raise a lot of eyebrows and leave uncertainty. But the major concern, maybe with the ministries, is seeing how best to cut down the costs and at the same time give efficient service delivery to the people of Uganda. That might be one of the major reasons as to why.
Merab, when you also look at, let's say, agencies or, agencies like the Uganda Tourism Board,
Yes.
having UTB, going back to the Ministry of Tourism, would this be, okay, when you look at the cost and everything, but in my opinion, I've seen a couple of times how these agencies have been very pivotal in running of government projects and operations. Because when you look at why many members of parliament voted against UNRWA going back to its mother ministry, is simply because they felt it was doing a very good job.
Yes.
Looking at reducing the costs, which is very important because with our national budget, it's not something easy. One would still ask, behind reducing the costs, is there any other thing that the members of parliament have looked at, or other people who are pushing for these mergers have looked at, to see that these ministries are divided or are no longer dependent on these agencies?
Well, looking at what was talked about, or what has had people's tongues waggling, is the fact that that is what the ministries aim to achieve, especially that, because there are several people that are employed in these different ministries. So, of course, for better service delivery, there has to be good pay.
True, for all of these agencies.
Yes, for them to work as efficiently as they work. For them, for our engineers, for our HRs, for the procurement officers, for the works to run so swiftly and right on time, there is a significant amount of money that is designated for these agencies. So which will put a strain, because government is the one that releases this money. And of course, they are looking at it as ways of cutting costs, but will still be able to deliver.
One would also wonder, how many agencies are we talking about in the picture here?
We are talking about 77 agencies. 77 agencies.
That are supposed to be merged
back into 18 ministries. So you see, that is a very, very huge number. Even if you say you are cutting down the costs, but you weigh the risks that will happen with these mergers.
Okay.
But when we look at some of these agencies that deliver these services, especially UNRWA, UNRWA has done an amazing job with our roads. Not only maybe within Kampala, but when you reach out to the other areas, when you're going to upcountry, the work UNRWA has done, the roads are very smooth and swift, and they have really done a good job. And even when it comes to times of emergencies, now like we recently had one, the Chengera-Masaka highway, where the road actually, part of it was...
The Chengera road.
Yes, yes. But UNRWA, within 3 days, has made the improvements, and the road is working now. But what happens if the merger comes through? It will take a process, the pecking order, the process that they have to go through.
Okay, and that brings me to my other question of looking at the benefits of these mergers, which I want you to also help us with. But before that even, you get to look at this, dear viewer, that the government is also planning to table bills. These bills are aimed at providing for the rationalization of agencies, under 4 sectors of the country. Now, amongst the bills that are to be tabled include the rationalization of government agencies, Education Sector Amendment Bill 2024. Then there is the rationalization of government agencies, Internal Affairs Sector Amendments Bill 2024. So amongst those are some of the agencies that are most likely to be, those are some of the bills that are most likely to be put out there. Now also, when we look into this, there is also the UNRWA Act Repeal Bill 2024, which collapsed after members of parliament voted against it. This was as of yesterday, and on your screen you can easily see most of the members of parliament were insisting that UNRWA Uganda should be retained as a semi-autonomous entity, according to them. That is following the UNRWA Act Repeal Bill 2024 that was shared yesterday. So when you look at that, members of parliament voting against UNRWA being merged back. And then there's also, there was also a statement coming in from General Katumba Wamala, the Minister of Works and Transport, who said or who revealed that the abolishing of UNRWA will see government save 39 billion monthly in wages paid to the current bloated human resource structure of the authority, and have this money used to construct roads in order to relieve Ugandans of potholes. This was according to the Minister of Works and Transport. However, in defense of UNRWA, the members of parliament voted against merging the Uganda National Roads Authority. But again, one would ask, what would be the benefits of having the 77 agencies back to the 18 ministries, as Merab has actually put it up for us? Merab, when you look at that, what are the benefits of merging this? One would ask, of course, we're talking about the mergers. One of the reasons as to why UNRWA, or why the Ministry of Works and Transport wanted UNRWA back to the mother ministry, is because they said 39 billion would be saved annually. That's
Yes.
a good figure.
Yes.
But looking into other mergers, what benefits can we get from the same?
Maybe one of the other benefits would be the duplication of the responsibilities.
Okay.
Because there in UNRWA, there are people who, they're engineers and different departments that the Ministry of Works also has. So here we are duplicating responsibilities and roles. So the merger plays a pivotal role in bringing them together to work as one. But at the end of the day, it all revolves around costs. And also for service delivery, it is better to look at Ministry of Works for them to inspect. If they're under it, so it is better for them to have it easier under them. So it's unlike it being with UNRWA going and having to go through that pecking order still. Yes.
You know, again, you get to realize that at the end of the day, when we merge some of these agencies, like Merab has mentioned, you are having some agencies that are doing the exact job as the ministries. And of course, it is more like you're seeing people being paid for the same duty as, let's say, the mother ministry is doing. But of course, one would say these agencies have been very fundamental in helping the ministries. Because we're having 77 agencies. For the time they've actually been operating, we've seen some works ongoing. One would not entirely say, we have failed to achieve certain things simply because we've had agencies. Looking at other benefits also, Merab, what in your opinion do you think it will come with having these particular ministries back, rather these particular agencies back to their ministries?
Well, having UNRWA being independent on its own carries a lot of benefits because they are probably more well-versed with technology, they're more knowledgeable, they've scouted around and know the terrain of the roads and how they operate. So it becomes easier for them to get that knowledge. They have acquired their expertise, the professionals that have been working with UNRWA to be absorbed in the ministry because it helps still with the service delivery. These people have gained the experience and it helps them navigate and even give more highlights on the projects that they have done, because however much they may be under the Ministry of Works, they are in charge and have control.
Well, Merab, let's also look at it this way. What would be your comment from some of the officials of the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, UCDA? Most of them were actually saying that it is going to be very difficult once we have, let's say, UCDA back to the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
It will be very difficult. Why? Because even currently, they are short of the budget in regards to coffee exports and everything. And not only them, you do realize that, for example, the Uganda Tourism Board, that also feels they would be left behind a couple of times, or Uganda's tourism will be lagging behind in regards to marketing if it is back to the mother ministry.
Yes.
There's also that element.
Yes, of course, it takes you back before these agencies came up. Now, when we even look at the Uganda Tourism Board, it has done amazing work. It has actually focused so much on Uganda tourism, and there's been a lot of tourists that have been flocking the country. So, and generally putting us on the map. even with other agencies still, when it comes to the coffee, to the cotton, there has been a lot of investments from these agencies. So merging them back into these ministries will of course set back, and these people will be pushed to the side.
Okay.
You know?
And to you, our dear viewer, you can be part of our conversation this morning by sharing your view and opinions on these government mergers. What do you think will be the benefit of us, the Ugandans, or of what benefit will it carry merging some of these government agencies? Or should all the 77 government agencies be merged back to their mother ministries? But of course, Merab, you get to realize that there are potential drawbacks of merging these government agencies in Uganda. As much as we are looking at the benefits of merging them, you know, cutting costs, calling out for accountability will be highly monitored, and then there's also an element of efficiency. But one would also cite the fact that there are some drawbacks if we get these mergers done.
Yes.
What are some of those?
Well, you will find that there will be a worry, especially with those in the employment sector, in those people who are working with these entities.
Okay.
So because they will be merged as one administration, so everything is under the ministry, so it sets back the employees. There's uncertainty with them, and then also it disrupts service delivery.
Okay.
It will have to, you have to come back to the drawing table, figure it out, because you are getting UNRWA to merge with WACS, and you're starting, you have to play catch up with what UNRWA has been doing. So that is one of the setbacks that will come about, that especially with the day-to-day runnings. Yes.
You know, and also it's also crucial to carefully consider the potential benefits and drawbacks of these mergers, because at the end of the day, as much as we are, you know, throwing in the conversations of having the mergers, just like, you know, Merab has put it, you get to realize that there will be disruptions in service delivery, which will become very difficult for some government, you know, projects to be done in the shortest time possible. Just like, for example, in an incident where we had some emergencies, one would only imagine for the people who are using the Chengera Road, if at all, that is for people who trade their plight along the Kampala-Masaka highway, if at all this happened and we didn't have the Uganda National Roads Authority, one would wonder how long it would take for that road to be worked upon temporarily as the works were done. Then there is also, you know, an element of the fact that when you look at what some of the ministries have, some of these ministries do not have the technical know-how, you know, know-how of how certain things operate. And these agencies have been employing quite a number of technical people that have been carrying on with the same. Then you look at also the merge of some of the electricity sector agencies that could resurrect past inefficiencies and undo gains made since the sector was unbundled in 2001. So there are lots of other things that are put up there. But there's a huge concern that Merab has shared this morning in regards to the employees of the government agencies that are being merged. What is the future of these ones, Merab?
Well, it comes down to the uncertainty. And also the government or the ministry has to reimburse these employees. Because you see, certain employees will have to be laid off, and them having to be, they have to be compensated for the layoffs. So that in its sense is going to be expensive as well. The negative side of it, the uncertainty that will come with these people losing their jobs, the human resource, the procurement officers, the engineers, generally the people that do the day-to-day work at these agencies, since the ministries also have their own people. But the ministry had mentioned that they will be integrated into their systems, but some of them, of course, not all of them, can go into the ministry. You end up having to be distributed around, or eventually lose the employment that you have actually been having. So that may be one of the biggest concerns that will come with the merging, especially with the employment of several people.
Well, let's also look at the health sector, for example, Merab. You know, at times one would say, with the health sector having some of, you know, some loopholes here and there, having these agencies back to the Ministry of Health, for example, is it going to streamline how services are run, and will people effectively, you know, get their services or get these health services in due time?
As it is, it's a challenge, especially with those that go to our hospitals in government. And these entities help give the service delivery on time and are easily accessible. But when it goes back, if it's in terms of health, when it goes back to the ministry, it will slow down and create a lot of time will have to be created for these services to reach like the people who acquire them in dire need. That's why you see most times people opt to go private, because they would prefer getting the services right on time, even if it comes at a cost.
Okay. And then also, when you look at some of the benefits that may be attached to the SEM, there is an element of improved accountability, because as of today, at times when you look at how the money or the funds are being disbursed amongst different agencies and departments within the ministries, at times it becomes very difficult to account for the money. Now, this time round, the guns will be pointed at the various ministries in case any project or any government project that was laid out is not done or has failed to be implemented in one way or the other. But then there's also an element of you know, capacity building, creating room for the ministries to be more accountable and having, you know, to do the things they are supposed to do without throwing blames to other departments. We've seen this happening over the time. A ministry which is supposed to be doing a certain project or a certain government program to push for a certain program, failing to do it and pushing the blame onto the agency,
Yes.
a department. But again, as we're summing up with this conversation this morning, Merab, we have concerns of employees. We have concerns of course, many people are going to be laid off because of the SEM. We have concerns coming in from the government, reducing costs. But I still want to understand, what should we do as a country to continue making good use of our funds? Because as much as we reduce the cost and try to curb the corruption and everything, what else needs to be done? Because the reason behind the agency mergers is because some agencies have failed to do what they were supposed to do. But again, we've seen so many times ministries also failing to achieve it, and Ugandans are not happy with the same. What should we do going forward as a country?
Well, we should go back and look at these agencies and their performances.
Okay.
Look at those who have underperformed. Look at those who have performed. For those who have underperformed, maybe those can be merged into the system, since they may need a push for their projects to be realized or achieved. So work hand in hand together with the ministries. But those agencies that are actually performing well, because you realize there are several agencies that were really rescued yesterday. We had the National Forest Authority, we had the Uganda Coffee, Uganda Dairy Authority, and Uganda Coffee Development. Yes. So there are several entities that are actually doing very, very well. So those ones that are doing well should be, I think, considered and exempted, and those that have been underperforming should be taken up into those ministries. I think that would be the best solution.
And when you do mention that, you get to realize that Parliament yesterday also blocked the rationalization and merging of quite a number of agencies as well. Some of the agencies that were saved by Parliament include the Uganda National Forestry Authority, the NFA, and then what we've actually been discussing here, the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, UCDA, that was also saved by a vote by some of the members of Parliament, or the majority. Then the National Agriculture Advisory Services, NADS, that was also saved. The Dairy Development Authority, DDA, was also saved, and the Uganda Cotton Development Organization. Now, when you look at it prior to the start of the process in Parliament, the President held several meetings with MPs of the NRM party aimed at convincing the legislators to support the mergers on the premise it would save Ugandans or the government 1 trillion shillings annually in terms of various projects and programs, plus salaries and the costs of operation. But government also hopes to ensure efficiency in service delivery and budget discipline with the move for these particular mergers. But back to you, our dear viewer, with our opinion question this morning, something that you can be part of. What is your opinion on the rationalization of government agencies back to their parent ministries? You can share your views and opinion on WhatsApp, 0709602592, and then on the X app at UBC TV Uganda. What is your opinion on the rationalization of government agencies back to their parent ministries? You can share your views on WhatsApp, SMS, as well as on our X app, or on the X handle rather, on the formerly Twitter, now X. But well, this is a conversation that is going to continue online with your views and opinions. But as of now, we head into a break. Coming up shortly is the Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express with Alan Namisango. So stick around. Later on, we shall be having business updates and traffic updates along the way. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Hams Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko pamoja?
As Gulu District Farm Association, in 2 districts of Omoro and Gulu, 14,000 and 300 farmers benefited from this project, whereby if you go to that link of Gulu District Farm Association, you have all the details of the number of farmers who have been benefiting from this project. One thing Gulu District Farm Association benefited from this project called Perelno, it has strengthened the extension system of the DFA, or the Gulu District Farmers Association, whereby there were capacity building of each of the staff.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
You're most welcome to Semeliki National Park. I'm Godfrey Valiesima. I'm the warden in charge of Semeliki National Park, which is managed by Uganda Wildlife Authority. Semeliki National Park is one of the 10 national parks that we have in Uganda, managed by Uganda Wildlife Authority. It's located in the extreme western part of Uganda, in Bundubijo district. Semeliki National Park is entirely in the Bundubijo, and therefore is not in Ntoloko. You know, Bundubujo initially was part of Ntoloko, but they decided to remove Ntoloko, so the national park remained in the Bundubujo district, and it is surrounded by 6 sub-counties that touch it, and that is right away from Bulondo, and where we are is in Town Council. Then we have Totolo sub-county, then the Bubukwanga, Tokwe sub-county, and Kisuba, which is the extreme south of this park. This national park is one of the uniquest national parks in Uganda. In Uganda, we have forested parks, and we also have savanna parks, and we also have mountainous national parks. So to differentiate it from the rest, Semuliki National Park, first of all, is the only tropical, lowland, semi-deciduous forest park. Why I say that is that many protected areas, the altitude above sea level are either higher, but Semuliki National Park is in a Rift Valley, the western arm of the Great Rift Valley, and therefore the altitude is between 650 to 750. Imagine, this is one of the lowest parts of this country, and that's the reason why it is characterized as a lowland tropical high forest, the only of its kind in this country. So why it's important? Because the Congo Basin combines the habitats of Congo. The mighty Ituri forest is a pristine, undisturbed forest, and it continues all the way to West Africa. And this forest extends into Uganda through Semuliki National Park. So the wildlife that we have here is more of the Congo Central African and West African forest habitats that makes this part of the country, or Semuliki National Park, a unique national park. So if we lost the Semuliki National Park, then we would never have any national park of this kind. Now, when you look at the interesting characteristics of this forest, is that we have primates. Primates, animals that are more or less having characteristics of man. And we have over 10 species of primates, including what you hear as chimpanzees. The chimps are also here, and we have other rare species that are not found elsewhere. One of them is the Semuliki red colobus. We have other red colobus monkeys like in Kivale, but the one we have here specific of this area, it is Semuliki, and when you go across in Congo you can easily find it, but it's within that belt of Semuliki River. We also have another species called the dense mona. Dense mona monkey, I know many of you have not heard about this either. This is another primate, a monkey that has shades of black and white. Very interesting when you look at it. And it associates with the Semuliki red colobus and the black and white colobus monkeys. And it is along the mighty Kirumia trail where we do birding. So currently, we thought that it could be a good idea to explore the beauty of these monkeys by trying to monitor them and make people get used. So what we're doing as management of Uganda Wildlife Authority and Semuliki National Park is to make these monkeys get used to us. So we do regular monitoring. We visit them such that they get used to us. When we take visitors there, they should be stable to accept an interaction between the visitors and possibly researchers. So in future, that's going to become a very good product for Semuliki National Park, because we are going to combine the Semuliki red colobus, the dense mona monkey, which is also rare, and another rare monkey called D. Blazers monkey. D. Brothers monkey is another rare one. It is a huge monkey and it has a white beard. These are old world monkeys. They are not elsewhere. And you can't find them across the mountain. And that combination is so nice. Besides that, we have gray-cheeked mangabe. Currently, the researchers have termed it a black mangabe because it was earlier confused. It's a rare one also. We have blue monkeys here. We have the red tails. We have black and white, and several other monkeys, including the olive baboons that are our friends all the time. We meet them and they are very interacting. So the park is really having a lot. Due to limited research, a lot is unfolded slowly. We had research here by Chester Zoo, one of the universities. And then the interest was, since we have the same habitat with Congo, and Congo has okapis, why can't we really have an okapi here? You know an okapi? An okapi is a zebra-like animal, but it is more related to a giraffe than the zebra, interestingly. When you look at the traits and the DNA, it's a brother of the giraffe that remained in the forest. The giraffe is a savanna animal that browses. It decided to grow the neck to avoid competition. But now the okapi remained in the forest. Its neck could not grow tall or high, and therefore remained in the forest. The relationship they have, the similarity, is that they are browsers. They don't graze. The difference between the grazers and browsers is that the browsers, they pick vegetation. They don't feed on grass. They pick shrubs and then feed above the ground. That's why the giraffes with them, you'll never find them bending. They'll always pick vegetation from the top canopies. That's browsing. So even the
All right, it's good to have you here. It's time for us to check into the world of business. Good morning, Uganda. Thus continue. Now, President Museveni has responded to the concerns that were raised by the traders regarding high taxes with a detailed explanation of Uganda's tax system and what it's supposed to meet or its objectives. President Museveni convened a meeting on April 19th, 2024 at State House Entebbe with a multitude of traders and their representatives who expressed their concerns regarding the burdensome taxation they encounter. In response to the issues raised by the traders who met the president last week on Friday evening, President Museveni underscored the significance of these meetings along with prior engagements. He further elaborated on the historic nature by stating that they address the pivotal debate of whether Uganda should break free from the cycle of producing what we do not consume and consuming what we do not produce, as summarized in the African Union document. Now, he highlighted the predicament of Uganda and Africa, where raw materials are produced locally, processed into finished products abroad, and then imported back at significantly higher prices. Of course, if you remember so well, during President Museveni's statements, that was also on his social media platforms, after meeting with the traders, he revealed that there is no way we are going to turn Ugandan markets into supermarkets simply because we import these goods back home. He did reveal that many of us, or Uganda, is blessed and endowed with raw materials that we end up exporting. We export the coffee beans, for example. You export cotton. You're exporting tea. You're exporting, quite a number of raw materials, especially agro-based products. Then at the end of it all, when these products are exported, they are returned into finished goods at a higher price. So at the end of the day, it's like we are supporting the international markets at the expense of our local markets. That is why when you look at some of the companies that are adding value to Uganda's goods, it is something that the government intends to meet. When the government rolled out the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy, you get to realize that it was aimed at supporting Ugandan manufactured products and services. That if a good, for example, let's say Toke biscuits that are made out of banana, that is after the banana has been added value, after we've added value rather to the banana, you get to realize that if you buy a Toke biscuit, that means you're buying a good that has been manufactured from Uganda, from a raw material that is banana grown in Uganda, and at the end of the day, you're supporting the entire value chain in Uganda. And also, this gives us the advantage to export and grow our export volumes as a country so that we don't import as much, because currently the volumes that we import outweigh the number of goods that we export as a country, which means we are sending out more money than the money that is coming back to us. Now, President Museveni addressed the issue of reselling imported goods to neighboring countries and cautioning against turning against East and Central Africa into a dumping ground for foreign goods. He further emphasized the importance of developing Africa's own capacity and reducing the dependency on imports, but rather pushing for exports and also pushing for value addition on our raw materials in Uganda so that we can compete favorably. But also the issue of creating room for quality and standard goods. Because when you look at one of the reasons as to why our goods are not highly recognized on the international market, it is either they are substandard or we are not meeting the quality that is highly needed for the international market. Now, regarding the proposal to make Uganda a re-export hub like Dubai, President Museveni questioned the origin of the products being re-exported and emphasized the need to prioritize Uganda's interests over foreign ones. He acknowledged concerns about the IFRI's computer solutions and also the issues to do with, promising the business community that the government and the Office of the President will do further consultation of IFRI's. In essence, President Museveni's response emphasized the government's commitment to supporting the local traders, local industries, and reducing dependency on the imports and fostering economic self-sufficiency while addressing the concerns raised by the traders. All right. Now, away from that, President Museveni still has met and held discussions with Professor Kim Yong-myong, an investor from Japan, at State House in Entebbe. Professor Kim, who is the owner of AC Planter, a company interested in introducing acetic acid fertilizers to the Ugandan farmers. The company, that is based in Tokyo, Japan, produces acetic acid fertilizer through Scapon technology, a product that promotes high yields in plants and also helps them to resist diseases and drought. Now, President Museveni welcomed the investor to Uganda and pledged government support towards that investment being done or being pushed into the Ugandan business environment. Now, on his part, Professor Kim expressed gratitude to President Museveni for hosting him and further assured the government that his company is ready to set up a factory in Uganda to produce these acidic fertilizers, these acetic acid fertilizers. Now, Dr. Asia further requested President Museveni's approval for AC Planter's partnership with National Agriculture Research Organization to conduct a widespread demonstration and commercialization of this product to the farmers. Now, Dr. Asia Godfrey is the Director, National Crops Resources Research Institute, who informed the president that acetic acid is a very key input that increases plant vigor, reduces plant diseases, and keeps away pests, and also increases crop tolerance to drought and heat, thus pushing and increasing for productivity within the agricultural value chain. Now, lastly, from our business updates, Kinyara Sugar Limited has further injected 100 million Ugandan shillings to sponsor secondary and primaries inter-schools music, dance and drama competitions at the Kinyara Social Club in Masindi. The general manager, Ravi Ramalingam, said that the music and drama campaign is to create awareness for the community to grow sugar canes. 7 secondary schools and 12 primary schools in Masindi district participated in the 2024 Kinyara Sugar Limited Music and Drama competitions. And the competition was sponsored by the Kinyara Sugar Limited at 100 million Ugandan shillings that was added in order to boost in the preparation for the upcoming secondary and primary music festivals that are due July to August this year of 2024. Now, Kinyara Sugar Works Communications Manager revealed to UBC that music, dance and drama is a talent development among the young people that needs to be pushed, and this is something that we need to also put more effort into supporting the talents of the young ones at the end of the day. Now, among some items that were presented to the presented by the learners was a campaign to stop sugarcane burning, and then cane poaching and ending child labor in sugarcane growing areas or sugarcane plantations as well. And also, the general manager, Kinyara Sugar Limited, Ravi Ramalingam, said the campaign was to mobilize the communities to grow more sugar canes for commercial purposes, and also to mobilize the communities to ensure that they protect the sugar canes and the sugar cane plantations, because at the end of the day, it's the raw material of the sugar that is processed, exported as well. And also looking at some of the other products that really need sugar in the country. Everything to do with edible sugary products need sugar. Now, we have our focus and our eyes onto the forex market. Courtesy of the Bank of Uganda, this is how you will find the various currencies trading at the exchange. The US dollar yesterday morning was buying at 3,810.96 shillings, while selling at 3,820.96 shillings. By midday, the US dollar was buying at 3,810.46 shillings, while selling at 3,820.46. Closing time saw the US dollar buy at 3,809.58, while selling at 3,819.58. Now, looking at the Great Britain pound, buying closed at 4,700.25 shillings, while selling was 4,712.59 shillings. And then moving forward, the euro was buying at 4,056.44 shillings, while selling at 4,067.08 shillings. The US, then looking at the Kenyan shilling, was buying at 28.42 shillings, while selling at 28.50 shillings. And again, the Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.47 shillings, while selling at 1.47 shillings. Also, the South African rand was buying at 198.35 shillings, while selling at 198.87 shillings. And speaking of Tanzania, by the way, there is a trending video of the standard gauge railway in Tanzania that is making rounds all over social media, TikTok and X, in regarding to how Tanzania's rail transport or rail network is growing. Something that you can look at and be very hopeful that Uganda's rail transport or network will as well be back and running. Now that takes us to our traffic updates this morning, because what is coming along from the news that we have over the weekend, when the issues arising the Kampala-Masaka highway over the Chengera Road progress. Now, as we speak, government has reopened the Nakasozi-Chengera Road after preliminary repairs on the affected spot. Because according to the head of communications at the Uganda National Roads Authority, Mr. Alan Sempebwa, confirmed the development and announced that normal traffic flow is ongoing. Now, for those who use the same route, you should be very aware and very confident that now you can use the road without being scared or worried about the same. Because now the road is now fully open for normal traffic flow, as confirmed by UNRA. Now, the road weakened and kept in on Saturday night due to water pressure following a heavy morning downpour, and then the culverts that had been supporting water flow at the bridge and the layers of the bridge had reportedly weakened, that have been partially replaced. Uganda National Roads Authority spokesperson Alan Sempebwa revealed that the repairs are a temporary solution, that the main repairs are also going to be undertaken along the way. But this was to curb what is coming in. Now, also, you get to realize that looking into infrastructure development as a key priority for Uganda's National Roads Authority. Now, in the meantime, the public will continue using both the main and access roads to ease traffic in and out of the city for those who are heading and using the Kampala-Masaka highway. And well, the nature of the roads in Kampala for you. There's still a huge worry, though, for the level of potholes within the capital, especially around 7th Street industrial area, because they are still under serious conditions that really need some maintenance at the end of the day. But for those using the Chengera Nachisozi route, you are rest assured, or be rest assured, that the road is now up and running. Also to note, by the way, these are temporary works that have been ongoing for UNRA in order to support easy flow and normal flow of traffic at the end of the day. Well, that is it from traffic updates this morning, the business and the tourism updates. Stick around for more coming your way here on Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Was brought to you by
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock on my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hustle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting it. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Nyati Motion Pictures brings you Tuko Pamoja, a documentary film about our unity as Ugandans and Africans.
Bunyoro would have simply created an East African community that we are looking for today.
The rulers of Bunyoro are actually Luos.
We people who live across the Nile, we are so related from our myth or from just the Nile.
We are the same people, and genetically we are even the same people.
We are similar people.
We are one.
Pamoja, we are one.
Use that word, pamoja.
Premiering every week from 3rd February to June 2024 at the National Theatre and Indere Center. Daily screenings are from 4th February to June 2024 at Ham Cinemax and the National Theatre. To get a ticket, call 0778 787 660. Tuko Pamoja?
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Previously, in most of these areas that we had prioritized, farmers would produce, but you don't access market because the roads are not there. So you have the middlemen that would have access and they persevere to go into those deep in the villages and they buy with their own prices. They'll go there and set prices for you, and yet you're the ones who are producing this food. But now this time with the market linkages, people can now access market because we have bridges that were streams that were bottlenecks to access by the farmers. It has constructed bridges, so farmers can now reach market.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning and many thanks for sticking around long to our Good Morning. The state of Kampala City, the capital city of this country, has faced quite a number of criticisms over the years. And speaking of the kind of critics that have been pointing fingers at the administration of Kampala City Council, or rather the Kampala City in general, it has directly been heading to the Kampala City Council Authority that is running the operations of quite many things at the end of the day. When you look at, you know, a full ministry that was attached to make sure that the affairs of Kampala City are manned and controlled at the end of the day, many would say it is time for the city to be producing results. One, in regards to infrastructure development, two, urban development and urban planning, because when you look at Kampala, which is the face of the country, it being the capital city, the first city that you will definitely land on if you are looking for any of the major government offices within the country. Now, many of the concerns that we're going to be having this morning include waste management and environmental sustainability, looking at the fact that how ready is Kampala to address matters climate change, economic growth and job creation. When you look at the economic growth last week, a full shutdown of part of the business arm in the capital, seeing many traders closing their shops in Kampala, going on a strike. That alone created some economic instability within Kampala for a full week, not until the traders went on to meet with the president. Speaking of economic growth and job creation is one vital topic of concern within the capital. A number of unemployed Ugandans that have actually the numbers actually been increasing year in, year out. Not only that, it has actually led to high crime rate within Kampala. Phone snatching, or bag snatching within the capital. There's been some robbery, or, many traders losing property to thieves within Kampala, because you never know who is in the capital. But there's also been a very huge concern in regards to the social services and the welfare of the people operating within the capital. Speaking of social services, you're mentioning issues to do with the health facilities within. You're talking matters education, looking at the schools that have been set up within Kampala. How are they running? Are the services on the level that one would wish for a capital city? These are conversations that we're going to be having. But there's also an element of governance and transparency. On the issue of transparency, the topic dealing with corruption has been one of a huge concern in Kampala. Misuse of funds. Earlier last month, we saw many of the casual workers and laborers of Kampala City Council Authority going on strike. Why? Because of delay of their wages. They were expecting to be paid at the end of the month, and most of them actually paid on daily, and they were going months, or let's say weeks, without payment. They hit the road and went on to strike. Governance and transparency. My guest this morning is Simon Kasiate, who will be on this morning as we discuss matters Kampala City, the state of Kampala City. But the most important bit of everything goes to the infrastructure, the road network in Kampala. This has been one of the most concerning issue within Kampala. Looking at the capital cities of our neighboring countries, talk of Nairobi, talk of Kigali, you talk of Dodoma, many concerns or many issues have been raised in regards to the infrastructure of Kampala, more so the roads within the capital, the roads leading to the city and the roads within the city. I'll just give you a simple example. Just yesterday, when a heavy downpour hit the capital, many of the roads were flooding. It is a different case in industrial area for those who trade their plight along the 7th Street, 8th Street. That is for the people who go into Bugolobi, industrial area, Namuongo. As you're moving into those areas, you get to realize that the roads are poorly maintained or are in poor conditions. Of course, there have always been discussions of seeing these roads maintained, and of course, further constructions and improving on the infrastructure development in the country. When we look back during the non-aligned movement earlier this year, when we had visitors coming in for the G77 summit, rather the G77 plus China summit, plus the non-aligned movement summit that we did have at the start of the year, we saw quite a number of quick developments within Kampala City. We saw roads being maintained, we saw some paintings here and there, and of course, one would wonder, how long are we going to be having such developments moving forward? Well, the state of Kampala City is one that has left many questions unanswered, because the state of the roads, you want to look at the level of health services, but the element of transparency is one that highly needs to be talked about. And one would still say, how far in regards to improving the state of the roads? Not only that, as we talk matters in Kampala, maybe we are overheating the officials that are running the affairs of Kampala City, but we can as well look at what else can we do as citizens to promote and see that the development within Kampala City is highly pushed along the way. But of course, we can as well look at the economic growth of the country. Now, joining me this morning is Simon Kasiate from Kampala City Council Authority. And a pleasure having him, I should say. Very good morning, sir.
Good morning, how are you?
I am okay.
Great.
How are you doing?
Great.
Okay.
And yourself?
I'm okay. I also have some issues, but I'm doing fine.
We all do.
Okay. And of course, I've been taking the viewer through a preamble of what we're going to be having this morning in regards to the state of Kampala City. One would say the bigger issue we are having is the roads, but there are quite a number of issues at hand. But away from the issues at hand, or pointing fingers at the KCC and the failures in here, what is the state like of the capital?
It depends on which side you're looking at it, but I'm sure you're asking me from our side.
Yeah? Yes, surely.
Where we say that the rains are here, and the usual cry and hue is back on our hands. Or the roads are flooded, or the roads are getting into a poorer state than they ever were. And then all of a sudden, folks seem to have forgotten what I told them over 1 year ago to say that by this time, in 2024, the city would be one huge construction site where we would have started in earnest the Kampala City Roads Rehabilitation Project, a huge project financed by the World Bank that would see the rehabilitation and construction of new tarmac roads, totaling to close to 100 of them. And we've seen works going on in different places that have turned some of those roads almost a hellish existence to navigate. You talk about Port Bay Road, Old Port Bay Road, Spring Road, that's on the side of Nakawa. You look at places like Sentema Road, you look at places like the Kasubi Road, you look at roads like Suna 1 and Suna 2, that is somewhere near Namwaya. So all these places are indicative of the fact that the project did start, and when, of course, we are constructing, a construction site is not as smooth as a well-paved boulevard, and what we have always appealed to folks is that there should be patience in place. That also does not mean that I just mentioned a few roads which may total to not more than 20 kilometers. It means that the other kilometers where contractors, for example, have been contracted, I'll give an example of the industrial area roads of 5th Street, 6th Street, 7th Street, and 8th Street, which are in a very deplorable state. But the contractor is there, the project is to start in earnest. They are facing a few challenges, majorly among them being the acquisition of the right-of-way for drainage services, because the folks in the industrial area decided to build over gazetted drainage places, and so we are having protracted negotiations with them to allow us break some of the infrastructure to allow for drainage to go through. But you see, as is the case with most of us in Uganda or Kampala, we are always quick to complain and point fingers at other people for their so-called failures without admitting our own encumbrances to their success. People in industrial area, let me first make this point very clear. People in industrial area, wantonly or otherwise, build over the gazetted drainage channels. We cannot start construction in that area unless we have secured the right of way for drainage channels. The same people who have built over the roads, who are the most affected, are not willing to cede ground to give us exclusive right of way. So what's happening along that road? We are beginning to get delays in when the construction should begin, occasioned by the same folks who built over those drainage channels. So in the end of the day, KCC finds itself in a catch-22 situation where services are being demanded by the citizenry, but the same citizenry are hampering the delivery of those services. Just to elucidate more on that point, there are floods all over the places. They are claiming that the drainage channels are not robust enough to take our flood water. Far from the fact. If you go to our drainage channels, you'll find that they are clogged to over 70%. By what? Garbage, plastics, and all sorts
and it's because of the industries?
Not because of the industries. Even you, when you finish drinking your bottle of mineral water, you just throw it out of the window. Where do you think that bottle of water ends? It possibly ends up clogging the Nachivuo channel. And when it clogs that, it constricts the channel's ability to take all the flood water, hence the flooding that you see. So we have always appealed for mindset change to say, look, every time you're disposing your garbage in a wanton way, not appropriately, just know it ends up in a place that will constrict you when the next floods come.
Well, Simon, when you look at the urban planning challenges that we have as a capital, as Kampala, what plans is KCC having in store or in the pipeline to address some of these issues? Because
I'll tell you something. What we have are plans. What we have are blueprints. What we have are even laws and ordinances. What we possibly are on a back foot as an authority is our ability to enforce these plans, by virtue of the fact that many a times to enforce them requires us to have some financing, which for the most part we don't get adequate of. But also many times we are constrained in enforcing some of these plans or some of these laws that should have been making the city better, because we lack the human resource to do so. Many a times we are shackled by the fact that those who in fact go against these plans or go against our set guidelines. For example, folks who reclaim wetlands. You know that our city is set on beautiful undulating hills. For every hill there is a wetland in between or a valley. And those valleys are naturally created to take and sip through the water that comes from the hills when it rains. But what do we see in our wetlands? We see folks that have reclaimed them. Now, if you peel the onion to see who actually is reclaiming these wetlands, these are people who protect themselves with all sorts of paraphernalia, including state power. Now, KCC enforcement, the most it has is a baton. But you go to enforce in a location where someone is reclaiming a wetland wantonly and against every law, and you find them being guarded by the National Armed Forces. So what do? You just fold your hands and just look on, because the same folks that expect better services are the same folks that do the wrong things. We're away from these big people. Folks who are watching us this morning, I want to ask them one question. How many of them, those especially who drive, ever get out of their gates with their car facing the road? Many of us in these new neighborhoods of Kampala will always drive in reverse out of our homes. You know why? No. Because we build to a plot up to the last, we never leave the mandatory 2 meters that should allow for public good. In many of our neighborhoods, they are watching us in the comfort of their sitting rooms, but I can tell them when they walk out of their homes, two cars cannot crisscross each other on the path that ends up at your own home.
Simply because of how they build.
And yet they have the plans and they tell them, please plan better. But everyone is like in the wild, wild west. They do what they feel like. They break their own law on their own doorstep. But they are very quick to pick their phones and start lambasting an authority. Now, I'll give you an example. If I, Simon Kasiate, I am the kind that is so contemptuous of basic laws and guidance to better living. I build up to the last. I clog my drainage channel with garbage. I steal manhole covers. You think if I become a deputy director at KCCA, those mannerisms will end?
No, they won't.
So when you see people pointing fingers at KCCA, I always tell them, the folks that you're pointing fingers at are also like you. That look will leave, you will come in, but you will come in with your same mannerisms. Until we have a national conscience to say, I must do the right thing as an individual, it starts with me. Shall the collective sum of every individual good be reflected in the institutions that we run? You don't expect to be a communion of devils, but your leaders are a communion of saints. Far from it. Of course, someone will argue that it all starts with the leadership, but like I told you earlier on, all of us don't start as leaders. We start as being ordinary citizens. Now, if our mannerisms are so rotten as ordinary citizens, there's no chance that you're going to become an angelic leader when you're given the opportunity to do so. Like Michelle Obama said, power does not change you. If anything, it reveals who you actually are.
Okay, and I want to agree with you when you say that. Simon, looking at waste management, one would ask if you can give us an overview to the viewer today, to a resident of Kampala City this morning, an overview of KCCA's waste management plan, because we are currently having issues to do with climate change conversations, but we need to have a waste management plan that is meeting standards of environmental sustainability. What is in plan for KCCA?
Like I have told you, if you want to know a place that has plans,
KCCA has plans.
KCCA has plans. Now, let's look at the value chain of garbage disposal. It starts with you buying a bunch of matoke, your wife peeling it, and where does she put those peelings of matoke? Most likely in a sack in a corner. Now, you either do one or two things. Either you collect it in a domiciled dustbin or skip, and then on certain days, you move it to a collection point, because most of these, all our neighborhoods in Kampala, there is that collection point that has been communicated to you through the leadership of KCCA on where you put your garbage on a designated date. In my area in Mbuya, Apachinawataka, it is on Thursday by the roadside. So you carry it there and take it there, and the KCCA garbage truck will come. Or in places where the KCCA garbage truck is not operating and we have service providers, like how we see Home Clean, Nabugabo Updeal, and all the other people that we work with from the private sector into garbage collection. They will come and pick that garbage from that gazetted place, and then we'll take it to our dump site in Kitezi. We are obviously aware of the capacity of Kitezi. Right now, as I speak, the landfill has hit its full capacity.
Every time someone enters there, it becomes, ooh.
Absolutely. And they are not plans, but we actually have a site in Dundu, in Mukono, over 100 acres, which is going to be different from the Chitezi one, because the Chitezi one is just a landfill. You just go there and dump the garbage, and then nature and the natural scavengers and humans go there and segregate it for you. But what we're going to do in Dundu is that we're going to be taking already segregated garbage. And the segregation of garbage is going to start from your home. That you're not going to put matoke peelings together with plastic bottles because the two of them are different. Matoke peelings are biodegradable, bottles are not biodegradable. So you'll have different places where you place them and take them as segregated. But even if you don't, our teams will be segregating them on site and say the biodegradables will be here, the recyclables will be on this other side. And then we are already advanced in negotiations and conversations around turning biodegradable waste into energy and other forms of useful byproducts, as well as looking at the recycling part of it, so much so that we're already in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and have given them a designated area to put in place a medical incinerator space, so that all this medical waste that comes from our health facilities around is taken to those places.
Oh, okay.
We also, of course, as Kampala, continue to face the challenge of subsidizing the garbage collection and other social services of our neighboring districts. For example, I know if you take Jinja Road, you may not know exactly where Kampala ends. But someone who lives in Chireka claims they live in Kampala. Yet Chireka is in another district. So if garbage is collected in Chireka, most likely it ends up at our dump site in where? In Chitezi, which is in another
district.
So you ask yourself, people who garbage is collected in Namugongo Sonde,
where they
does it go to the Mukono side? Or it comes to the Chitezi side, or it is dumped in a swamp somewhere in Nigeria. So all these are conversations that are already going on, and there is need for a conversation around this area, and that's why you've heard of projects like the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area projects, which are not only looking at physical infrastructure, but are looking at collaboration and synergy in as far as services such as garbage collection are concerned.
Well, Simon, let's talk matters transparency as KCCA and management. I don't want to call it human capital management or something like that, but let's talk about the transparency and how, many Ugandans lately are using social media to throw, tantrums and kind of their dissatisfaction in how government, departments, ministries are running, most of their things. When it comes to KCCA, many people are so fast when it comes to hitting KCCA officials, you inclusive, by the way, at times. When you
Perhaps
look at
as the postcard image of that bashing.
Exactly.
Everyone wants you to repair their roads, pick their garbage.
So it is always you being tagged, especially on X.
Collect their sewage.
When you look at it, one would want to as well understand what is the mandate of KCCA. Because I think I would have asked you that as the first thing as we started our conversation, so that my viewer gets to know that there are certain things that are way above KCCA, but at least you're trying to fit in. And what issues should the people hit KCCA with directly?
One, citizens demand, and rightly so, for better services. More so Kampala citizens or visitors or anyone, a concerned citizen of Uganda, it's within their right to demand for better services by the government, and particularly Kampala Capital City Authority, whose mandate is in fact to run and operate service delivery in the city. Service delivery, what do I mean? We provide services in the following directorates. We have an education directorate, which operates and runs 79 primary schools in this city. Did you know?
No, I didn't.
22 senior secondary schools in this city, and all of them are universal primary and universal secondary education. We have 8 health centers. Some of them, health center falls by name simply because of the stratification by the ministry. But if you walk in there and see the spectrum of services offered, they are as good as a referral hospital. Kisenyi Health Center being one of such an example that I can give you, where you can go and even have dental surgery. You will have your cesarean section done. You will have orthopedic engagements done unto you, and yet it's referred to as a health center for, and it's led by a qualified medical doctor that would maybe lead even as a superintendent for a regional referral hospital. That's service delivery. We're operating 16 public markets in this city. Did you know?
Now I know.
We have other social services, including the parish development model that we're offering as part of the politics and the delivery on the NRM manifesto. We are running rehabilitation facilities for destitutes and child-centered places. Then we have got, of course, the elephant in the room, which is the Directorate of Engineering and Technical Services, which we all charge for presenting to us the best infrastructure that there can be, which is in terms of roads. So, as a service delivery arm of government, folks will always demand for better services. And you know why? Because we have another directorate called the Directorate of Revenue Collection, where we come to you asking for you to pay for your trading license, for your property rates, and every other tax that we collect on behalf of the central government. Now, when folks are burdened with a yoke of paying taxes, they obviously will translate that into a demand for better services, and they're very right. The tone and the manner in which they demand for it notwithstanding, what we recognize as KCCA is that we should offer these services to the people. Our constraints are not that we do not want, because we live in the same society. Just to clear the air, I was called to come to this program 30 minutes before it began. And I made it here in 30 minutes. Now people would wonder, where does this guy live? Yes, I live in Kampala. Meaning that if the roads are bad in Kampala, Simon Kasiate, I'm equally affected. I'm equally affected. Yes. So it is within our own interests as leaders at KCCA to provide better services to the people of Kampala, because we are part of the people in Kampala. I have a household where folks would fall sick. So my nearest health center, which is Kiswa Health Center, ought to be operational. Yes. Garbage collection needs to be done in my area, because if it's not collected, I am affected. Mbuya Church of Uganda Primary School, a government-aided KCCA-run school, is closest to my house. If the school is not well fixed, my children will not go there. So at the end of the day, we are bound by the same code. We at KCCA operate there, and you who demand services from KCCA. Now you may want to ask the question, then what stops KCCA from providing those services for which the citizens would be proud? And I just elucidated some of them. I adumbrated some of them and said, look, we are constrained by the
because I wanted to even know what are the shortcomings, what are the challenges that you people are facing in the council.
We are constrained by the fact that we don't have adequate cash. We put through a budget of, say, 100 billion shillings for maintenance and rehabilitation of roads, routine maintenance of our roads per financial year. But the government, to whom we present the taxes we collect, will appropriate and give us 20 billion. Now, you have a need of 100 billion. You've been given 20 billion. The best you can do is cut your coat according to your cloth. And then, of course, work yourself backwards to try and create other strategic partnerships and synergies with either private sector, with other development agencies, and the like. But those do not just happen like this with a click of a finger. It is work in progress. And I don't want us to paint the picture of doom and gloom. If anything, if you're a discerning eye, you will actually recognize that a lot of good infrastructure work has been done. The only problem with us as a people, and I think it's a Ugandan culture thing, the moment they sort your area, you keep quiet, you stop complaining, and you will not even say thank you. Because I'll give you an example. Do you know Kulambiro?
Yes, I do.
Less than 3 years ago, that was the dust capital of this city.
It's now a very growing suburb, by the way.
With an incredibly smooth boulevard only punctuated with a few corrugations and humps, which we put there to save the Kulambiro people from themselves. Because the road is too smooth, they will speed themselves to death. Nobody from Kulambiro ever mentions the fact that they have a beautiful road. They used to make a lot of noise and deafened me from about their dust. Quiet! They can't even say, here we have a nice road. No, they're quiet. So it is Salama Road residents, those who use Sapolo Kagwari. And when we fix that, they will...
There is no thanksgiving whatsoever.
And we're not asking them for thanksgiving. But we are
because one would say it's KCCA has
we are known as a people that are good-mannered. Ugandans, everyone you ask, they say Ugandans are nice people. But you who lives here, you know very well that the guy who's smiling at you is the guy going to rob you after the corner.
So many times. But again...
so we are used to the flowers and the bulbs. We are used to the sticks and carrots. But that is not to say that we are complacent or we have thrown our hands in the air. We are cognizant of the fact that a lot more is demanded of us.
Yes.
And that is why if you ran a story just the other day here on UBC, coming in from our staff engagement that our executive director did. She mobilized all of us as staff of KCCA and said, let's sit together and talk to ourselves candidly in our faces and recommit ourselves to doing the right thing for the best of service delivery to this country. And in there, she was very explicit and said, look, folks complain that you are extorting money from them, you are corrupt. Folks complain that you are high-handed. Folks complain that you are just sleeping in the offices, you're just getting money and not doing work. Folks have the right to demand better from you. Can you just tap your own conscience and recommit yourself with an unwavering spirit to serve Kampala better. And she rallied all of us. And I can tell you, if you go back to KCCA right now, every one of us has a recharged set of new batteries, and we're out there to rock.
Simon, let's talk about infrastructure maintenance in the capital. Earlier this year when we had two summits, a marathon of summits, I should say.
NAM, G77
NAM,
plus.
G77. After that week, many Ugandans saw how fast the maintenance works were done, some repairs here and there. And it hasn't even taken 6 months. Some roads are back to...
Like? Give me an example.
Some roads are back to the same situation. If you're crossing to Munyonyo, you're heading to the Munyonyo ends using Gaba, you will find there are certain roads, not potholes, but there's there's that waste disposal, very poor at the end of the day. What is wrong and what needs to be addressed?
Again, it will start with individuals. You, as a Munachibuga. The government has provided you a beautiful road and planted a palm tree right in your compound for beauty. That you should wait for Simon from City Hall to come and water that palm tree when it is right a stepping distance from your own house. Sometimes befits understanding. But most importantly, does KCCA bring the dirt to the roads? No, it is brought by all of us. When we stop doing those things for which we want to blame others to clean up, then we will learn to appreciate that we have a contribution to make. I normally give this example whenever I come to this studio. And now, unfortunately, the example doesn't hold because after NAM, things were sorted out. But right outside the perimeter wall of UBC, where a line of street lighting stretching from the roundabout of Oasis all the way up the roundabout of Standard Chartered Bank. But you'll be surprised that the street lights outside the perimeter wall of Parliament and the national broadcaster had been vandalized, stolen. And yet, from what I know, if there's going to be an unconstitutional change of government, those who are leading it normally attack the national broadcaster. Meaning that if there is any place that should have impeccable security,
then the national broadcaster
should be one of those installations. But how someone comes and vandalizes a physical infrastructure for the public right outside, you're getting full view of your own security guards. Up to now, I have failed to understand. How someone vandalizes a security camera placed outside the perimeter wall of the Parliament of the Republic.
And yet there are security personnel there.
So, I fail to understand whether we love our own country. Because these guys who vandalize these lights don't come from the DRC. They don't come from South Sudan. They don't come from... They are Ugandans like you and I. They are the same ones who will vandalize a manhole, sell it in Bulindo, and then come and start saying, look, there are open manholes in Nakasero, anything we are falling in. So that level of pretense and the absence of social consciousness to safeguard the infrastructure that is installed right before us, it's what's killing us.
Okay. Simon, earlier you've mentioned something to do with partnerships that KCCA is doing with the private sector. I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong.
No, you're right.
But when you look into some of these, what are some of those examples that you can share with me and the viewer this morning on some of those initiatives that you've worked along with the community, the private sector players to ensure that the city is growing and developing, or others that are in the pipeline?
The pipeline is what's actually clogged with many of them because we really have to subject them through, tenets of goodwill and other tenets to ensure that they are able to live according to our set standards and our requirements and our whims and fancies as a city authority, based on what the citizens are asking. But just to give you a quip, your producer did call me just before you started the program, and I told him I'm at the Airtel roundabout.
Just close Ginger Road.
At the Airtel roundabout. It means that a company called Airtel, working together with KCCA, operates and maintains a roundabout from beauty to aesthetics to everything, right in the center. If there is anything wrong in that roundabout, they sort it out. And I'm sure you've seen different public places which have been ceded to private entities
that are taking
good care of them.
As well.
It therefore subsidizes on our cost of landscaping, of gardening, cleaning, and the like. So when we have many of these private-public partnerships in greening, in other sustainability engagements, like how our friends in roofings did rehabilitate one of our 79 primary schools somewhere in Kasubi and built a new classroom block and roofed a section that had asbestos roofs, which cost would have come to us, and we don't have the money, but the private sector came in. So we are working on similar partnerships with different private entities to come in and subsidize and provide certain services to the people of Kampala in terms of beautification, in terms of tourism, in terms of physical infrastructure, and many others. So we hope that these partnerships grow, because in one way or another, it also creates a sense of shared ownership, shared value, and shared responsibility across board.
Simon, I've always wanted to ask an official from KCCA, when it comes to the marketing bit of it within Kampala, marketing in the essence of people who throw, you know, marketing boards, billboards, not only that. Now, the most bit of it, when it comes to the beautification of the city, I think this deters the bit of the beauty of the city when it comes to people throwing in stickers, flyers on walls and, you know, poles within the capital. Is there any sort of regulation that is going to control, or that is controlling how people are throwing posters here and there within the capital? At times you find it in very funny spots within the city.
Have you been to New York?
No, I haven't.
There's a place in New York called Times Square,
where there are billboards and everything. I've seen that on social media.
I think it's the most beautiful part of the city of New York.
Everyone wants the advert there. That's what I know.
So why do you think that having a Times Square kind of arrangement in Kampala hampers the beauty of the city? But you could be right on one end. That if we have a boulevard like Yusuf Ulule Road that has got an island of green with beautiful trees in there, because we are a beautiful green city in the sun. Now, if a billboard owner or a business owner chooses for the best part of the visibility of their product to cut down a tree to allow for the visibility of their billboard, now there will have a problem with them.
Okay.
So what KCCA is doing at the moment, we have an outdoor ordinance that is still in the works between the political side who enact these ordinances, and they will pass it down to us as the technical side for enforcement, that gives guidelines on what kind of billboards will be required in what places, and what the ramifications are, and what penalties there could be in the face of breach. So right at the moment, we used to have sway over advertising and outdoor in this city, until we were taken to court by the Association of Outdoor Advertisers, and court, in their wisdom, slapped a moratorium on us and told us to stop what we were doing because we were not backed by law. So we went back into the kitchen. We are now cooking an ordinance, and an outdoor ordinance will be out pretty much soon, which then we will now use as the legal basis for our enforcement. And then you will now see how we will create the synergy between beauty and the need for commerce as a result of the need for these billboards.
Well, my next concern is something that I believe you've also been affected in one way or the other, the traffic flow. Traffic congestion within Kampala. You get to a place like Ginger Road, the traffic lights around Ginger Road, former electoral commission offices. You will find KCCA traffic officials, you find traffic police.
And vigilante citizens like you, who has time on your day off, you can go there and man
And then
the
you
traffic.
find traffic lights that are fully operational. And you have it's like a set of 4 people manning the traffic flow. Complete disorganization. How are we going to deal with this?
Some time back, a client who came from citizens, and they said, no, police is distracting the flow of traffic, because where there are traffic lights, they should be able to work. And the police did a social experiment, and that evening they withdrew all their men from the major junctions and said, let's allow for roundabouts and traffic lights to guide you on the traffic.
To see if Ugandans are really good at what they're saying.
Those who were around will tell you what happened that night. We literally went down on our knees and begged the traffic police to say, please, we are sorry, come back and man. Because one, it comes back to what I was saying you as an individual. 90% of the people you see driving are there who are stuck in that traffic outside Ginger Road roundabout, driving. 90% don't have valid driving licenses. And even those who do have valid driving licenses, they never earned them meticulously through driving school and getting through proper.
They just bought a car from the bond, hit the road.
Thank you. So it starts with just how we behave ourselves on the road. Then you have a set of people with an exaggerated sense of self-worth and self-entitlement who are just crisscrossing lanes and things of that nature. So in there, we're just a bunch of people that are out to kill the next person that we believe is below us in terms of the economic and social stratum. But let's put that on the side and say, as KCC, we're not going to just sit here and become analysts of social behaviors in Kampala. We have to put in place tangible solutions. And what are we doing? Working with our Japanese partners, we are currently running a signalization project, signalizing over 22 junctions. Now, when I say signalization, meaning we are going to put Vitara on 22 new junctions within the city. We are going to demolish 5 roundabouts. Namely, Kubiri, that roundabout of Kubiri, that separates Karerwe and Waise. That roundabout of Molago that leads you to the mortuary side of Molago on one end and Kakande is down.
Okay.
The third roundabout is the one at, again, Molago, Shell, First Pharmacy, Ministry of Health. The fourth one is that roundabout outside Renzori Court. Renzori Court. The fifth one is that roundabout outside Standard Chartered Bank, near the Independence Monument.
Oh, around
those
Imperial,
five,
Grand
exactly. Now you'll notice that we, out of a good study, we recognize the fact that roundabouts and the lack of signals are one of the major contributors to the gridlock of traffic that we see and witness in the city. And beyond signalizing and turning these roundabouts into junctions, you remember Fairway?
Yes,
many of you don't remember that at Fairway there was actually a roundabout.
Currently, my entire image is saying...
Because we forget so quickly as Ugandans.
Junction and traffic lights.
Exactly. Now, we turned Fairway into a signalized junction. Many of you took years to learn how to navigate it, but we are glad now many of you have learned how to navigate it. And so we're going to turn all these places that have roundabouts into such junctions. And then, if you come to City Hall right now, there's a new building that has come up and it's called the Kampala Traffic Control Center.
Okay.
In there, we're going to have a centralized control command center for all the signals in the city. That when the lights release you at point A, it is a cascaded movement. And we are able to translate smooth traffic flow and man it from one centralized place using sophisticated, top-notch Japanese technology called Moderato. So in less than 2 years from today, you'll be having centralized, because you see right now, if you go to every junction that has traffic lights, there's a little house somewhere in the corner. In there is its own control, localized control for those lights. We are saying no to localized control of the traffic lights. We're going to have centralized control of the traffic lights so that then we are able to also accommodate. You know, sometimes you're on traffic lights, like a Ginger Road or whatever, and the dignitary is moving from Serena going to Munyonyo. So whatever color the lights are on, they will stop you manually to allow for these dignitaries to cross through. And by the time that is done, then there is a bit of a disorganization on how they can go back to the signalized guidance. But with our centralized system, we're going to be able to coordinate with the different movements of VIPs and all sorts of movements around, to ensure that we are able to cascade these lights and the lights actually operate. So for the most part, yes, we are going to greatly reduce on the physical presence of security personnel manning traffic installations and even our own traffic wardens. That plan is in the works. And just to give you an example of where we have actually widened and made better the area, just waiting for the signals to be put up, let someone go now to Spear Motors Junction. You saw some works that were going on by cementers. That's part of our project. You must have seen now some aluminium poles that have been set up. Anytime now we're fixing them with the lights. If you got that junction of Katarima Road to Nakawa, you know that junction from Nakawa going to Naguru? Some works were done there. So right here near New Vision, as you branch, you know, just on Ginger Road, as you branch off to where New Vision is, or coming up to Archer Road, you must have seen some new arrangement of the junction there. So these are different junctions which are going to be signalized and put as part of the grand plan for proper traffic management and flow.
Well, Simon, we're in a generation of technology and innovation, and my viewer will agree that many cities across the world are trying, you know, to adapt to the technology trends here and there? Do we have you've shared with us some of the new technology moves that you're making, but is there more room for innovation and technology that KCCA has in store for the, for the citizens within the capital?
My executive director, Madame Dorothy Kisaka, has been for the last over 2 years harping this mantra that she terms the smart city. Smart, according to us, is not just the physical outlook, but it is how we leverage technology
and innovation.
Putting it through with our infrastructure for people's well-being. So the mantra is technology, infrastructure, people's well-being. If you're in a rush, you can just say TIP. That is our acronym. And so those 3 pillars are like the 3 stools, the 3 legs of a stool.
Okay.
You know this stool they call Malaya Sikh?
The one,
it has 3
cross-legged.
It has 3 pillars. If one of the pillars is broken, that's it. It never operates. So all the pillars are as important to each other. So technology is as important to where we want to see our city as it should be. And I'll give you an example. We have over 60 apps that we have developed and are actually in the works at KCCA that have served to ease the way we do business with you. For example, you don't need to come and carry your everything, papers and all that to City Hall to just pay for a trading license. No. Even for our building plans and title or whatever, all these, you do them at the tip of your fingers. The comfort of your gadgets, so that you follow through the process. Why do we do this? One, we're trying to create convenience for the city dwellers, to say you don't have to come and all of you line up at City Hall or at different division offices to have your services delivered to you. But most importantly, you've been accusing us of corruption. You say, Simon, every time I come to your office for you to push my paper, you expect me to put for it to dog. But we are saying, no, you deal with your phone. There's no human interaction. You don't meet Simon anywhere. And you keep following the progress of
what the application is asking
right there. And you will have even paid through
the phone.
So we're trying to minimize human interaction. So you don't start accusing us of
mismanagement or asking.
You have been accusing our law enforcement officers of beating the hell out of you when they're enforcing the law out there.
Yeah.
It is the women come and say, your men come and just to grab us in the different parts of our bodies. They are so indecent. So we said now.
Many traders have even lost their goods.
Absolutely.
The enforcement.
So our enforcement teams, if you've noticed, now they are wearing body-worn cameras. Each one of them is a moving stock of CCTV.
So that you can easily see how they are doing.
We are monitoring them the same way they are monitoring us in your control room. We also have a control room at KCCA up there that is monitoring audio and visual interactions between our enforcement officers and the FOCs.
Okay.
So that when there is some cry and hue, you just need to mention for us the incident where the time we log into our system, we review, and we can hear and see. If that's not leveraging technology, what is it?
It is. It is indeed. And, talking leveraging technology and innovation, we have so many, urban dwellers that are huge on arts, tourism, and culture. The plans of KCCA to promote this very special bit of our nation, because we've seen so many people in arts and culture and everything, speaking of artists, musicians, but not only that, the world of creatives is also growing. What does KCCA have in plan for such kind of people?
Let me start by telling you that Kampala is such a beautiful city, and for the non-discerning eye, you want to believe how much tourism potential it has and what iconic installations that we do have in this city. Of course, I don't need to mention the Baha'i Temple, which is one of only 2 in Africa. Did you know the Hindu temple right there in Nakasero, which you normally just bypass, is one of the world's marvels of Hindu temple technology? That it is actually taller below the ground than it is up, and that it is standing on 4 pillars of 1 stone.
No, I'm learning something new today.
Absolutely. So it is such a marvel that people come from far and wide to come and just see it, because the architecture of it is unheard of. You used to do history or SST in your primary school, and they will tell you the first shop in Kampala was opened by a man called Aldina Vislam.
Yes, that was a primary SST.
Do you know exactly where that shop is?
Currently.
Where
I'll go back to
so
my
you see,
SST.
all these are things. The SST never tells you. It just tells you the first shop was here.
And
but physically, now you're a grown man. Can you come? Come to the Tourism Information Center at the Sheraton Gardens. You know, there's what used to be the Lions Center at Sheraton Gardens, or what they call Sheraton Gardens. Just for your own information and that of your
information center.
And for the viewers. Those gardens where Sheraton is are public gardens, in fact, owned by KCCA.
No, because normally interactions I know.
The fencing around them is not to gazette them for Sheraton, but it's just to protect you when you're in there, to have a bit of comfort that someone is not going to come and snatch your phone and run into the wilderness
while
and
you're
disappear.
visiting.
The same way we have gazetted
But
those
how
gardens
accessible were they?
There is a gate that enters into Sheraton. They've never charged anyone entry into that place.
Okay.
Exactly. So, but the problem with you Ugandans, you fear order.
When something is orderly and moving in the right direction,
it is like you going to a pork joint that is clean. Everyone just has a feeling that every pork joint must be
or finding a Rolex stand which is having no towel and
that has tiles and all that. Just the
This
price
is not
must
it.
be factoring in IFRIS and VAT. Now we are telling you that these public spaces, although we've gazetted them, and that's part of our public-private partnerships with the private sector.
Okay.
In Kamwocha, where we've partnered with City Oil, we've said rather than have these gardens just open for the taking, you fence them so that people who come in there have some bit of security, that a vandal will not just come through, pick their cake and run off into the wilderness, that they will have access control in the sense that you have one exit and one entry. Should there be anything, you make an alarm, the security guards come in place. Then the same private sector will maintain them. So Sheraton will have them mowed, the lawns are manicured, they maintain that fountain, which is a public fountain, but they maintain it for us and pay the bills around it. So yes, in there, that little house that used to be Lions Club or Lions Center is now the Kampala Tourism Information Center. It's a partnership between KCCA, Uganda Wildlife Authority, Uganda Tourism Board, or the Ministry of Tourism as it would be, and then of course our host Sheraton. In there, you will find all sorts of information, and you'll find curators that are able to guide you on how to enjoy the sights and sounds of Kampala, be it day, be it night. We have public places and places where artists and creatives can throw around their murals. All they need to do is come and we have a conversation with them, so that we have, street painting. We can have all sorts of things that make our city visual and aesthetically look very good. So the future is bright. What I encourage creatives and artists and folks that love the good life is not to wait for KCCA to think for them, because we possibly would spend much of our bandwidth in the brain thinking on how to fix potholes than how to create graffiti somewhere in the town that will look very good. So you come up with these proposals and these ideas. We are open for conversations. We have a mutually reinforcing conversation, and we are open to facilitating and providing you with the amenities to do so. I mean, we've worked with the private sector like MTN, Uganda, who have run for over 15 years a major media property called the MTN Kampala Marathon.
Yes.
That in itself is a huge tourism
Giving
marvel.
back to the community as well.
Forget about giving back to the community. That's actually a drop in the ocean.
Okay.
When you have hundreds of thousands of city dwellers and some visitors descending into the capital to run around and showcase the beauty and see the beauty for themselves of this city. When you have other private players like Absa Bank saying we're going to do the 7 Hills Marathon. In other words, they're going to lead you to run across the 7 original hills of Kampala. Yes, it's not only just a masterstroke of extreme sport genius, but as you run, you begin to appreciate the beauty of Namirembe Cathedral, for example. You run up and watch the architecture of Lubaga Cathedral. You get down and look at Twekowe, Bulange, and you realize that we're actually seated on a gem. Folks leave this place to just go and stand outside the gates of Buckingham Palace and just look at Buckingham Palace. They want to just go and stand in Hyde Park and just look at Hyde Park. Or
and yet we also have many of those places in here that...
We have similar places that, it may not be the same in terms of grandeur and age.
I know.
But, I mean, if you stand...
But of some significance.
If you go up the minaret of the National Mosque in Old Kampala, you have a 360-degree view of Kampala as it is. Nothing looks more beautiful than Kampala as seen from that position.
Well, Simon, lastly, let's talk about the health sector within Kampala, the facilities. In some areas, some changes really need to be done. But then how far are we as the capital?
Like I said earlier on, KCCA operates 8 health centers in the city, and some of them are just health center by name. But if you go there, the kind of facilities, the kind of services you will receive are more than just what you'd get from an ordinary health center. Kisenyi Health Center, for example, has been voted 3 times in a row as the best health center in the country, not by ourselves, but by the Ministry of Health.
The one thing I've noticed about it, it's always clean. Just by passing Kisenyi, you can notice that.
That's what you get when you go to a KCCA facility, but many of you in the city will prefer to go to these private shacks and other small little nooks and corners that are sometimes worse off in terms of arrangement than a witch doctor's shrine. Not to say I've been there, I've only seen it in pictures.
But you've been surprised maybe, or shocked.
But then you don't go to our facilities. But also you'll notice that we have facilities that are being upgraded every other day. If you go to Kiswa Health Center, for example, we have a new facility that is coming up in terms of a new block. You know what we did in Naguru when we partnered with the Chinese for the Naguru China Friendship Hospital.
My mother lives in Tebe, by the way, in most cases, and goes to Naguru. So that I
See,
can give it to you.
absolutely. But yet she can even detour to Kitebi Health Center, which is also closer to her if she
But she
uses
tells me she loves
expressway.
Naguru a lot.
See, so we work well in terms of physical infrastructure and providing of these health centers. But most importantly, in as far as health is concerned, let's look at the element of public health. Public health, you know that from COVID, we've had COVID, then Ebola, then now we are looking at red eye.
Red eyes.
Epidemics would otherwise have ravaged Kampala because we are the terminus. Every road ends in Kampala or starts from Kampala.
Yes.
So every little infection that starts in Nimule, somehow there will be a contact that will end up in Kampala.
Very true.
But because of our robust network of village health, health teams and our infrastructure and our team in the Directorate of Public Health and our respective partners with whom we work, we have always stood tall and stood firm and been the linchpin for the prevention and, for the most part, management of epidemics from going viral in this country. You notice that we managed very well with COVID. Ebola, we were because remember the first victim, Ebola 1, ended up in Kampala, but somehow we managed to get a hold of them, isolate them, and ensure that we minimize the contacts they would have so that we don't have it viral in the city. Okay. So we are also monitoring the air quality, because you see there are non-communicable diseases that come in from the air that we breathe. There's a lot of pollution that goes on in the capital.
At times, unless you move out of Kampala, is when you feel some good air.
Absolutely, but we have air monitors that are every day monitoring the air quality and mitigation exercises that we are working with our different partners. You know, public health is one of the things that we are very strong at. We are running campaigns around car-free days, for example, to just reduce on carbon footprint and also to encourage a lifestyle that is progressive, in the sense that we encourage. If you notice now, if you go to Kololo men of the evenings, you'll find men for jogging. That was not the case many years ago. Why? Because there is a growing movement of young people recognizing that non-communicable diseases are a silent killer, and the only way to fight them is by taking a part in activities that give you better health. The little challenge we still have in provision of that is providing pedestrian walkways, cycling lanes, segregating our roads to accommodate for the different road users. And we have made it a point that every new road that we are constructing will have covered drainages, a pedestrian walkway, a cyclist lane, and then where the motorized people will pass. The only problem, again, is our mindset. You go now to Ruum Street, all the way up to Namirembe Road, where we put the non-motorized transport.
I'm seeing border borders there.
Border borders, then entitled Ugandans that can fix their little Japanese piece of ironmongerings on wheels. Everything's so wrong. We put chairs for people to relax. Someone mops their room in an arcade, brings soapy water and pours it in the lawns in there. They are stealing the concrete chairs that we installed for them to relax on. So sometimes you get frustrated. And I like to be brutally honest to Kampalans, just for them to appreciate how nasty their behaviors can be. So that we tell ourselves in our faces that, you know, we are behaving like, there's this animal at home that we normally love as a pet. You'll put for it a piece of meat on a plate.
And then it
will pick it from the plate and
throw it
put it on
down.
the floor and eat it from the floor.
That's the dog.
That's for many times how we Kampalans behave. That they make for you a good piece of infrastructure, but you desecrate it and you want to go back to your default
Simon, we're running out of time now. Your parting shots, a message to the citizens, or I would say the people moving within Kampala, or the people who are enjoying the city as we speak currently.
My message to the citizens has always been this simple, that we all would want a smart city, a beautiful city in which we are all proud to live and work, a city that we are proud to call home, because at the end of the day, whatever it is, if you are Ugandan, this is your capital city. To make this capital city that we all would love to enjoy, love, and be a part of is not an exclusive work of the Kampala Capital City Authority or by extension the government of Uganda. If anything, it is your own responsibility to make a contribution to bettering the city you want to live in, a city that you want your children to live in, a city you want your children's children to live in. It is the collective sum of your little contributions wherever you are that then will make for the greater good that Kampala is envisioned to be. If you dispose of garbage wantonly at a personal level from your little home and you throw it to the next mall outside your home, if you are stealing street lights right outside your home, manhole covers, or even dust bins, as we have just recently installed in the city, if you are doing every wrong thing and you're riding your boda and instead of riding it properly, you put down the stand and you on the road and create a spark, you are killing the same road which should otherwise have stayed longer to serve your children and your children's children. So it is our collective sum of loving our own space, of doing the right thing, of being vigilant, of being jealous and saying, look, I will safeguard what is ours as a city, that then will give you the wherewithal to say we shall have a better city. And very finally, of course, for every right, there is a responsibility. For every clamor for services that you as a citizen asks for from government, there is your personal responsibility. Many of us are charged with a basic responsibility of honoring our dues to the government. Pay your taxes, be a good citizen. Of course, questions abound, that I may pay my taxes, but they will be misused. Do your part as a citizen. You pay your taxes, and then you'll have the wherewithal to demand for accountability, to demand for the government to show you what they have used your taxes for. When they fail to, then we shall resort to Article 1 of the Constitution, which, as we have always been told, power belongs to the people. And I think every 5 years, we are always asked to exercise our power. If you don't exercise your power, then sometimes you have no one other than yourself to blame when things go south. Good morning.
Well, the Deputy Director, Public and Corporate Affairs, Kampala City Council Authority, Simon Kasiat, has been with us this morning.
I'll correct you. It is Kampala Capital City Authority. The council word, we removed it. They all removed it. So it's Kampala Capital City Authority.
Kampala Capital City Authority. And he has been here this morning as we are discussing matters, the state of Kampala City. I do hope you've picked something, and I do hope that one of the messages he has actually sent out for us to be self-conscious and love the city. The mindset change, very fundamental and very vital for us. Many thanks for being part of Good Morning Uganda. And from the time we started at 6:30 a.m. till now, the hour of 9 o'clock, all I can say, stick around to UBC as we continue inspiring Uganda. Good morning.